Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. In this update, we are going to check out Ondo's price chart, see what's happening in the short term, and maybe there are some optimistic signs there. But before we get into that, real quick, we are going to talk about this important announcement because I do think this is a big shift, even if it doesn't necessarily look like that much of a big deal. You see, according to this tweet, Ondo just plugged its tokenized stocks directly into a real financial infrastructure in Europe, and we are talking about platforms that are supported by Clearstream, which handles custody and settlement for something like $20 trillion in assets. Also, on top of that, these assets are now trading on 360x, and in simple terms, this essentially means that Ondo took the assets like, for example, Apple, Tesla, and major ETFs, tokenized them, and now major institutions in Europe can trade them using the same system that they already trust. Now, the important part in this announcement is actually how this could potentially and hopefully change access, because normally large institutions cannot really just go and use random DeFi platforms because of naturally a lot of regulations and risk controls. But by integrating into this existing setups, okay, Ondo basically removes that barrier, and now banks and broker dealers across Europe can interact with tokenized stocks without changing how they operate. And that I do think is rather an important deal because it connects blockchain assets to real institutional money, not just some retail users. Now, there's also in here a more technical angle that I would argue matters quite a bit, and that one comes down to collateral. You see, since Clearstream is involved, these tokenized assets can potentially be used inside traditional finance workflows, like for example, collateral or maybe for loan or margin. That is going to, I do think, change behavior quite a bit, because when institutions use something as collateral, they don't really trade it quickly. No, they actually hold on to it quite a bit, and that creates more stable demand instead of short-term speculation for tokenized assets, which is awesome, and that is ultimately bullish for Ondo. Now, the big picture overall, when you look at this from a zoom out point of view, I do think is quite clear. Ondo is not really trying to replace the old system. No, it's trying to completely integrate into it step by step, and that approach naturally is going to take quite a bit of time, but at the same time, it is going to build a rather strong position that is, I would say, very hard to compete with, because a new project trying to enter this space is going to go through a whole lot of regulations, partnerships, and infrastructure that Ondo already secured. And if they manage to be successful in this area, it is going to take a whole lot of time for them. So overall, I do think this is a very important positive news, but again, I don't really think you are going to see the effects of these types of events and announcements in like very short term. I do think overall down the line, this is going to lead to more and more token demand for Ondo. However, again, definitely not for like very short term. Now, let's go on the live chart and see what is actually happening in the last couple of days. And if you remember, the last time that we talked about Ondo, we were specifically right in here, and the idea was that in an ideal scenario, either from here we're gonna have a move down and then a rather strong bounce, or maybe even, if we are lucky, from the current point we are going to get a good bounce. Now, I do think it seems like that we are sort of kind of lucky, and here is what you see. There's a chance that in this specific area, in this move up, we are having a 1 to about here, followed by a correction for wave 2, another move up into wave 3. As you can see, clear 1 2 3 4 5, correction for 4, and yet another move on the upside into wave 5, followed by that. What is going on in this area? I'm going to argue probably this is an ABC on the upside. Why? Because prior to this thing, I'm thinking probably we are having in here an impulse down, meaning what? Assuming that in Ondo, we are not going to take this importance low. Okay, odds are number one, we are first going to have a 1 2 3 4 5 wave down in order to maybe take this low and go like just a little bit lower, but not a whole lot lower, for example, in order to take this low. Number two, after this move is complete, if you see something like this, a quick 1 2 3 4 5, and then a correction structure on the downside, I do think in like very short term, we are talking about maybe the next 48 to 72 hours, this could potentially be a bit of a long opportunity, because that scenario essentially suggests, excuse me, let's just do this, delete this one and this one. We are having in here, maybe, very important point, there is no certainty in any market at any given moment. We are just talking about different possibilities, okay? This is really the key point. That scenario suggests we are having hopefully ABC down, and this on a higher degree is going to be 5 up into 1, correction for wave 2, and the next move is going to be what? Hopefully a good one up into wave 3 and 4 and 5, and the 5 wave that I told you, if we are going to get, it will be bullish. It's going to be actually into this wave 1 and then correction for wave 2. So right around the end of our wave 2, if we get this setup, it could, I think, be a decent buy opportunity in hope that we get a good continuation of the move up. But again, before we get into all this, first things first, at least in like very short term, count on maybe yet another move on the downside. And then if we get this move up, great. And I'm really hoping that we are going to finally get a break out of this god awful terrible consolidation. And if I just measure it from this point, maybe even to about here, how long is this thing taking us? About 75 days. It has been that we are just hanging around a very tight range, about, excuse me, I just took the wrong object. Let's just do this. About, as you can see, only a 20% range, which I fully understand right now is going on your nerve. But hey, guess what? The market doesn't really care about what we are feeling. The market does what it does. We are just here to simply analyze it. And here's a very important point. If we are not going to get this, and instead maybe from here, sure, we are going to get a move down, but then we are going to continue our move and then take this important low. Even according to this scenario, like I told you also at the beginning of the video, do not necessarily be at that point overwhelmingly bearish. Why is that? You see, you probably know what I'm about to say, right? The reason for why we call an area a support or maybe a resistance area is because of the number of orders that we are seeing around it. For example, let's say this is actually a bit of a support area, and initially we are going to have in here 20 orders. By the first time that the price touches this, let's say 10 of those orders are going to get activated, so we're going to have 10 orders remaining. The next time that we're going to get to this region, another 5 orders are going to get activated. We are only going to have 5 orders remaining, and then another time, let's say another 3 are going to get activated. We are only in that case going to have 2 orders here, and there will be a time where we are going to get to this region and there isn't really going to be a whole lot of orders, meaning what? That's actually, unfortunately, the breaking time. Now, this goes for a support and also, like I told you earlier, a resistance area as well. And if I just go around here, you see, how many times are we touching the lower band of this ranging pattern? Let's just, and there we go. Let's just have a quick count. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe the next time that we're going to get in here, it's going to be 7 times that we are touching this area. And every single time we are getting some sort of a reaction from it. So maybe if we're going to take this low, at that point, we're going to say this support is a little bit weak. Meaning what? We are going to, in the short term, actually go under it quite a bit. And that I do think is going to cause a bit of a longer squeeze, since I'm thinking probably a lot of people opened some long positions, a lot of short-term traders opened their positions, and the majority of their subs, I think, are going to be under these important lows. And the moment that we end up taking them, again, our move down can continue a little bit more. But for the same reason, I actually think then it's going to be right in here a decent buy opportunity if you see in like very small time frames some decent sub waves, in order to get a good move up and then finally get a break out of this area. Now, what is that same reason? Okay, very simple. Let's have a quick count on how many times did we touch the higher band of this region. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another time, let's say we're going to touch it about here, it's going to be 6 times that we are getting to this area and we are getting some sort of a reaction from it. So you could very well argue also the higher band of this region is quite weak. So again, I'm trying to tell you this. I think in Ondo, if we are going to get a move down first, I do believe it's just going to be a temporary move on the downside, and then we are going to have a move up in order to have a good breakout. And in that case, The targets, let's just do this and measure the height of our range real quick from here to about these heights and put this at our breaking point. The targets are going to be somewhere around 35 cents area, meaning from here we can expect something like a 15 to 20% move up, which is definitely not that bad. But having said this, consider this please. I think even if we end up getting a good move up in Ondo, even around the highs, we should be still quite patient and careful. And if you want to open some long positions in here, just try to catch the next move up, okay? Because I'm thinking probably overall this might be a whole correction structure up, and then we may end up witnessing yet another move on the downside. But these are going to be tomorrow's stocks. For now, let's just talk about what is going to happen in the short term, and maybe right now we should be focusing on a bit of a move down and then hopefully a bit of a pass. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Ondo. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.